Okay, welcome guys to another um, class on understanding the market business model. And as usual, um, our class is going to be very, very detailed, and there's no need to beat around the bush. Straight to the point, and make sure there is elaborate explanations on the things that are being shown to you. Also, you understand. So, um, it is your duty as a student to pay attention, and it is my duty as a teacher to make sure that I teach you very well and make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay, so because there are a lot of things that makes for the building of students when people who want to learn, okay, the desire might be the first step. The decision to learn, to grow, is the first step. But then the kind of knowledge they are now introduced to now determine if they now get motivated to continue the learning process or not. You don't just create a you don't just create a how do I put it now, a body of knowledge, or you create something and you assume that people would just want to just listen to you. You understand? There must be a value, there must be something there that is facts, principles, some things that are what's it called now? That is unique. Yeah, those are the things that makes people to continue to, that makes students to continue to have the eagerness to learn. For example, a student who just starts learning about physics, he might start learning about the basic, and from there on, the interest to know more grows on, because the physics in itself is an encompassment of so many things, so many theories, so many ideologies, so many scientific stuff. You get what I'm saying? So you don't just come and you assume that people should just sit their ass down and just pay attention to something that does not give them the benefit of improvement. You understand? That does not give them the projection of improvement. You get? So beyond the fact that people or students would be in class, the teacher also must subject him or herself to making sure that whatever they are giving out is 100% facts, principles, and things that would yield improvement for the student. Okay. Now, aside that, I also want to let you guys know that we are getting closer to um, the old fundamental explanation, the theoretical aspect of teaching, where I bring out something and I try to explain it to you as I've been doing. You would also notice that I've not gone to the chart since I've been explaining stuff to you. And this is a deliberate attempt to help you understand that you do not need a chart to make money, and that as a forex trader, especially someone who's trading the market business model, you can trade on any chart. And to also tell you that candlesticks, lines, and all those things don't really matter. What matters are the information that they are giving to you. But these candlesticks, they give you information. You trade the information they give to you. You are not trading the candlesticks. Candlesticks are just pictures. They are just computer generated graphical illustration. They are just pixelated. They are pictures. You get what I'm saying? They do not control price. They are only telling you something. So if you can understand what a candlestick is telling you, or what some series of candlesticks are telling you, you get you definitely would know how to navigate this market. And it does not just stop at candlesticks, it expands to every other area. Time frames, what is there again? Time frames, currencies, every single thing that is in front of your screen. They are giving you at every single time there are informations that are passing to you about transactions that are going on. You get what I'm saying? About transactions that are going on. And then you, as the trader, will now have to use those information that they are giving to you, use it to make intelligent decision. Get what I'm saying? So yesterday, okay, oh, sorry for that little break. Okay, yesterday we spoke extensively about liquidity. Okay, liquidity, and I was able to explain liquidity to us and all. And I think, and while I was rounding up the class yesterday, I also spoke about the fact that today I'm going to finish up on whatever I did not mention, because the teaching on liquidity is kind of very broad, and I think we spent close to about 1 hour plus on it. Okay, so like I said, I wouldn't want my videos to be too long. At the same time, I wouldn't want it to be short of information. You know what I'm saying? I want it to be as detailed as possible and also time conscious, so that I do not waste your time, and at the same time I'm able to pass out accurate informations um, the way it's supposed to be. Now, yesterday I explained liquidity to us. Okay, so I'm not going to go over it to save time. If you have not watched it, you can go back to MBM. That should be MBM 008 to watch it. Now, one thing you should know about liquidity, in addition to what I said yesterday, is that liquidities are not active orders. They are not transaction. Liquidity is not a transaction. And this is what will introduce us to today's um, topic, which is volume. Because today I'll be speaking on volume. I gave us the three. I said there are five. I mentioned four. Okay, but we'll speak about these three first. Okay, so today we'll be speaking about volume, but we need to understand some things about liquidity so that I can introduce us to volume. Okay, now liquidity are not liquidity in the market, based on how I've explained it to you, as orders. Okay, liquidity, when we use the word liquidity, we are talking about limit orders, pending orders, or active orders. Active orders means orders that are not activated, orders, not transaction. There are two types of actions in this market. Okay, you are either what is it called now? There's a word they call them. You're either positioned or you are trading. Okay, so it's either you are in a trade, you are in a trade, or you are waiting for a trade. Okay, so for example, when you place a limit order, okay, when we get to bid and ask, I will explain orders and all those things for you guys. If you're a newbie, a beginner, and just follow up. Okay, we'll get to that place where I'll explain everything. Now, when you place a limit order or a stop order, these are orders that are not activated yet. You are hoping that when in the future it gets activated, right? Good. Now, what you've just done is that you have provided liquidity to the market, because if the limit order is a buy limit, you have provided liquidity for the buy side. And if the limit order is a sell limit, you've provided liquidity on the sell side. Okay? It could be above price, it could be below price. It doesn't matter. The point is that you have provided liquidity on either side. That is what we know as liquidity. Liquidity are orders that are not playing out yet. And the second thing we have is the transaction. And that is where liquidity pairing or liquidity pairing comes into play. Liquidity pairing means Mr. A placed a buy order. Mr. B placed a sell order. And then both of them now met themselves and they paired themselves together. So Mr. A liquidity to Mr. B's liquidity becomes what? It's paired. That's liquidity pairing. But that's not our focus here. I'm driving us towards something. Okay? Now, the moment Mr. A, remember when I was teaching you guys, I said everything in a market is a place where what? Transaction takes place. As long as there's a transaction, then that is a market. You get? So transaction now means that somebody is willing to buy, another person is willing to sell. And both of them comes together to form a transaction. So every time your order gets activated, the moment your limit order gets activated, what happens? It becomes a transaction or a trade, as we call it. So whenever you place a limit order, you are not trading yet. What you have just done is you've just provided liquidity to the market. And that's why it's very fancy for, what's it called now? Some set of people to tell you that they took your liquidity. And reason is because maybe the way you enter to where you put your stop loss is actually where they get paired and price does not want to, reverse from there. But the point is that the moment your order is a stop order or a limit order, then you have just provided liquidity. Either I said it yesterday that every single participant in this market are liquidity providers. Every single one of us, we are liquidity. I don't care what you call your name, algorithm, smart, whatever you want to. I don't care. The point is, we are liquidity. The moment, even if it is 0.1 cent of your money that comes into this market, you've provided liquidity, because this is a money market. This is a currency market. So liquidity is identified as limit or stop order. In other words, these are what's it called now? Trades that are not activated yet. You have set it, but they have not been triggered. Why? Because it has not been paired. You want to buy, there is no seller yet to match your orders. You want to sell, there is no buyers yet to match that orders. Okay, so that's liquidity for you. The moment your order and you see your trade running either in profit or in loss, it is no more an order again. It now becomes what? Transaction. That transaction is what? It's activated. It's activated. You are in, you are trading. Okay, so understand this thing I just said now, because it will be useful by the time we start explaining order flow in the future, because you understand. You have to understand how orders flow. It is when you understand this order flow that you'll be able to know, oh, price is reversing, price is not reversing, price is just, pull back. You understand every single thing, and you will know that, okay, this is a trade I should follow. Remember, I told you in the market, there is nothing like trend, there's nothing like consolidation. You follow price. So you can literally know if price will go up or if price will come down. So you see this thing I mentioned right now. Okay? Liquidity, this thing I just explained to you right now, will be useful when we're explaining order flow. Order flow is just the encompassment of both inflow and outflow. We're going to explain all those ones too. Now that I've explained this to you, I would also explain that liquidity is, since I told you that liquidity means that the easiness at which a pair can be converted to another. Let's say, for example, this AUD, how easy is it for it to be converted to USD? Now, let's say, for example, there is no, that means for AUD, let's imagine there are 20,000 people, 20,000 sell orders on AUD. Okay? Not people, sell orders. And the reason why I'm not mentioning people or anybody is because of, like I said, what I'm saying now will introduce us to volume, which you will understand very well. 20,000 sell orders, that's all we know. We don't know who put it there, if it's one person, if it's 20 people, if it's 20,000, we don't care. It's not our business. Our business now is that at least what we are seeing, which is the fact, is that 20,000 sell orders. We don't care who put it there. We don't care about their footprints. We don't need it. What we need is what is in the market. What is the market showing us? The market is showing us 20,000 sell orders on AUD. So there needs to be 20,000 or above buy orders on USD also to match this. Now, it could be below also, okay, because these 20,000 sell orders now might be, sold into other pair. So it could also be below, but this is an analogy now. Let's imagine it is only AUD USD that is in the world. There are no other currencies that 20,000 sell orders can go into. You get? Because what I'm trying to tell you now is that if there are 20,000 sell orders on AUD, there could be 5,000 buy order that are ready to match here. You get? That are ready to match here. You get what I'm saying? And there won't be enough. That means we would still be left with 15,000. So where does the 15,000 go? It might go into other currencies like CHF, GBP, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So at this current price, there are 20,000 sell orders. So let's say the price is $5. So there are 20,000 sell orders at $5. Are there 20,000 buy orders? And let's imagine now that there are also 20,000 buy orders at that $5. So they want to sell AUD USD, 20,000 sell orders at $5, and there are 20,000 USD who are willing to buy that at that same price. Okay. Now, yeah, I also forgot to mention yesterday that liquidity is also price based. So you see these orders that comes into, these 20,000 sell orders must be at a price. Okay, so let's imagine that this 20,000 sell orders, it's at $5. So there are at $5 or at $5, which is the price, or at, this is the price here, or at whatever. It could be $5, it could be 5 AU. It doesn't matter. The point is that is the price. In the context of price, there is no, how do I put it now? There is no, price is number. Maybe when we get deeper, I will explain it to you. Okay, I will explain it to you. So, but I don't want to spoil what you've been understanding. So let's take it little by little, okay? So at $5, which is the current price, 20,000 orders are willing to sell. Sell 20,000 times. It's $5. Or it could be just one. We don't know. All we know that is that 20,000 sell orders. 1, 2, 3, 4 until it gets to 20,000 at that $5. So what we are seeing is 5 times 1, 5 times 2, 5 times 3, 5 till 5 times 20,000 orders. You get what I'm saying now? So at that $5, so what we are seeing is basically 5 in 20,000 places. I hope you guys get what I'm saying. So this $20,000 at 20,000 sell orders at 5, at the price of 5, means that 5, that's 5, that's 20,000 orders, sell orders at 5, at that $5 price is literally telling us that, you see that $5, there are people who are selling, and we don't, let me not use the word people. I don't want to use people. Okay, all I just want to say is that $5 there are 20,000 sell orders. So there must be 20,000 buy orders or above at $5 on USD also. You get what I'm saying? At that same price. If not, it's not gonna work. Now, how does price relate to liquidity? I'm going to explain it by the time we get to the stage, but I'm just using this to explain to you guys price and liquidity, how they work. Because by the time you now understand price and liquidity, you now understand why, when price gets to previous high, it sells, gets to previous low, it buys. When it gets to a certain level, you just see price moving sporadically. Once you understand all these things and you start seeing all those impulsive news move, you're not even wowed. Get. So 20,000 sell orders at $5 on AUD. So there must be this that is willing to match. Now, the question is, what if there is no matching order on USD? And AUD USD is the only pair in the world. Then this becomes a transaction that will never be filled. A transaction that will never happen. So it means that you see in this market, liquidity is essential. In fact, without liquidity, there will be nothing like this market. You get what I'm saying? So you might be with, let's say it's just like saying you have an Apple Watch and you want to sell it, but you never find anybody willing to buy your Apple Watch. It means that, well, you have the asset, but there is no liquidity to match the asset. But imagine there are people who are willing to buy that watch from you, then it's gonna be. So let's say you want to sell the watch at for $50,000. Are there people who are willing to buy that $50,000? You get what I'm saying? If there are no people who are willing to buy at $50,000, then price would move. And that is where liquidity and price comes into play, which I'll also be explaining. How does price affect liquidity, or how does liquidity affect price? Because what if 20,000 sell orders are coming and there are not enough to match it? And there are no, I mean, there is no matching order here. Or what if it is too much? What happened? What if there are people that there are no orders that are willing to match at that current price? But these things are things that you have to understand. If you don't understand this, then you just keep on wasting your time as a trader. When you understand all this, you begin to have a higher level of understanding about the market. Okay, so I think this liquidity of a thing that I've been explaining since yesterday now, since I've told us that, you see, when there are 20,000 sell orders, that means liquidity is coming into the market. But because of the fact that this liquidity are coming as limit orders, stop orders that are, it's like saying in the future, you are placing a trade. Those trades are not activated yet. You have just put it there. Okay. Then what happens when your trade now gets activated? What happens? Your trade now becomes volume. So you see how liquidity metamorphoses into volume. Once it is not an active trade yet, it is liquidity. The moment it gets activated, it becomes volume. It means that these are the active participants. Volume measures what is happening. Okay? Hope you guys get it now. Now, yesterday I explained something to you and I'm going to repeat it. I said, please pay attention. I remember back then in junior school, I can't remember, I think it's in health science, we were taught something about cell. And we were taught that cell is the smallest unit of life. This means that everything that is in life, everything that has breath in it, everything that has life in it, Yeah, I don't want to use breath. I think that's wrong. But anything that has life in it started with cell. A cell. A cell. It's singular. Singular. It started with a cell. And then that this cell have the ability to now grow either by multiplication or by creation. And then the moment they now grow, they now become a full body person. So, me that I am speaking like this, I am a living cell. I am a full, it is everything about me that makes me to function is cell. The moment that cell ceases to exist, I also cease to exist. So the creation of living things starts from cell, cell. That's what we were taught. Okay. Now, in this same market, I have researched so far and I've realized that I found out that the smallest unit of price, the smallest unit of price, the smallest unit of anything in this market is a transaction singular. Now, these transactions can now be duplicated or created. In other words, one transaction would be equal to a candle. That's what your candle will show you. Your candle shows you one transaction. This is what I'm trying to explain. Not even your candle, your chart. I don't want to use candle now. Any chart in this world, I'm repeating it. The ones that are created now, that have been created before, and the one that will be created after we are far gone, were created based on transactions. So they now carry the information of the transaction and they present it to you as data. Now, because of we traders don't have access to seeing all these transactions, okay, that is why we now represent them as graphs. But please pay attention, I'm not done explaining. The smallest unit of price is transaction. So transactions could either be duplicated or created. It could, in fact, transactions are created. So once you see somebody who have AUD and he needs USD, there must be someone who is willing to sell USD. The moment both of them comes together and there is an exchange, what happened? A transaction has been created. Now, when did they start this transaction? That is what we call open price. When did this transaction end? That is what we call close price. Did they bargain? Yes. What was the highest bargaining amount? That's what we call the high price. What is the lowest bargaining amount? That's what we call the low price. But we'll get to price. When we get to price fully, we'll talk about these ones. I'm just explaining this thing because I will have to use it to explain volume. Now, since price is the smallest unit of, since transaction is the smallest unit of price, it means that the only thing we should pay attention to as traders are transactions. So now, a combination of transactions compiled together is what now gives us time frame. So within 1 second to 3 seconds, this is the amount of transactions that have happened. Okay, that is what now gives us what's it called, time frame. So once you say, oh, from 1 minute to 3 minutes, or from 1 minute to 5 minutes, this is what have happened. In fact, let me use the chart to explain this, the screen to explain this thing. Transaction is one, singular, like this. Then combination of transactions are what makes up this market. Plenty transactions. So let's imagine that I just let me draw four triangles like good. So let's imagine that in each of these boxes there are 50,000 transactions. Each box represents 50,000. So 50 plus 50, 100, plus 50, 150, plus 50, 200. Yeah, good. Now, one transaction inside this 50,000, the first one, okay, is what makes up the entirety of this box, and by far extension, all these ones. If you remove that one, or this box wouldn't even have been opened in the first place. Okay. Now, 50,000, these 50,000 transactions is what we refer to as, what's it called now? Information that we use. So because we cannot now be studying and be going after every singular transaction, that's why we now have to find a way as traders to bring, this is where technical analysis is flawed. When I get to explaining what technical analysis is to you guys, we'll explain all these things. But let's take it step by step. Okay? So transaction is what makes up, is the smallest unit of price. And that is what creates, that is the true creator of price. Because without a transaction, okay, AUD, now let's imagine this is AUD. This person who is willing to sell AUD must be willing to sell at a price. So who created the price? The seller. This selling activity is what created that price at that point. If there's nobody willing to sell at that price, do you think that price would exist? No. And then both of them, once they now come to a conclusion and they bought at that price, a transaction had been created. So that transaction that was created, at what price? Exactly. So that transaction, the creation of a transaction also equals the creation of price, because transaction cannot even exist without price, and price cannot exist without transaction. So every single price you see here are transaction numbers. Exactly. That was what I was explaining that time. Price are transaction numbers. Price are transaction numbers. $5, $1, $2, whatever price you want to buy, they are transaction numbers. That's why I tell you this is a number game. This is a number game. So, since we now understand that transaction is the smallest unit of price, and that this combination of all these transactions, yeah. Now you see this first box, if we separate it, it will give us some series of data. The first data it will give us is that there are 50,000 orders. The second data is will give us that when did this first order open? When did this first order start? 9 o'clock. When did the last order closed? Let's say 10 o'clock. So this is a 1 hour candle. This is a 1 hour data, not even candle. I don't want to call it candle. 1 hour data. So your candlestick that you are trading, you are not trading candlestick, you are trading data. So you must know how to translate those data. 1 hour data. 1 hour data. What you do with that data is left for you, because the data will not come as, some boxes will be smaller, some will be bigger. Some boxes will, some 1 hour will be as big as this, some 1 hour will be as tiny as this, some 1 hour will be as slim as this, some 1 hour will be as fat as this. It's what you do with this data that matters. And trust me, these data are limited. So there is nothing complex, that you can read them and understand them. So now that we now understand that transaction is the slowest, the old transaction and price stuff. Now, you see, whenever transaction, remember I told us, now I'm not talking in liquidity, transaction happens, yeah? Whenever a transaction happens, you see this transaction, that is this one now, this singular box now, is called what? 50,000, yeah? In the whole of the transaction inside this box is 50,000, 50, 50, 50, yeah? Now, everything together makes 200,000 transactions. You see this 200,000 transaction is what we call volume. Now, now, what is volume? Okay, what is volume? And now we are going into teaching volume proper. Let's go into volume. For me. When we get to price properly, I will explain to us liquidity and price. Now, liquidity is price based. Write this down, guys. Please write this down. Write it down now. In fact, write it down. Don't forget it. Liquidity is price based. Volume is time based. Notice how when I was explaining this thing now, I started explaining time, 1 hour, 2 hours, this one. But when I was explaining liquidity, I was not using time or whatever. What was I using? I was using orders, price. You see that? So liquidity is price based, volume is time based. Let's get down into business. Volume. What is volume? What is volume? That's the question you're asking. Okay, let's answer that question now. Man, teaching is not an easy thing. Anyways, volume in this financial, you see when I was explaining liquidity, I have to let you know that it is I'm being contextual. I'm talking about this market. Same thing about volume. I'm not talking about any other in this market. Volume in this financial market means the total quantity. It is not just the quantity. When we talk about quantity, we can just say, oh, 1, 2, 3. But we're talking about the total. Now, when we use the word total, it means we are looking at series of things, either quantity based or time based. Anyways, the total quantity of an asset that has been traded, now this is what now makes volume, has been traded during a specific period. Volume means the total quantity of an asset that has been traded during a specific, underline the word specific period. It could be shares, it could be contracts, it could be orders, it could be units. In the forex market, we are looking at orders. Okay, so we don't what's it called? We don't have our business with shares, contracts, units, all those things. We don't have our business with that. Our business is with orders. Okay, our business is with transactions. So let's go deep into explaining volume. Now, volume are the things that they are the totality of every transaction that happened during a period. A period must be attached for us to consider its volume worthy. Within 1 hour, we can say within 1 hour, this also amount. It's like someone who owns a warehouse. The person can say, okay, how many goods were brought in yesterday night? They will say, okay, 50,000. Okay, so the amount of goods that was brought in yesterday night is 50,000. What about this morning? They will say it's 20,000. So the volume is 20,000. Okay, so that's what we're saying. You can also conversely, you can also say, oh, okay, before I proceed there, because I don't want to rush. So volume is the total quantity of, an asset that's been traded within a specific time, specific period. That's the way I have explained it to you. Now, if this is true about volume, then let's go deeper about volume. This means that every time, every time, I'll still be using AUD USD also. Still be using AUD USD. Okay, so So be using AUD USD. So yeah, AUD USD. AUD or USD. They are two different, they are not a pair. Consider them as currency. How many AU now? Volume cannot be, now these are the conditions. Volume cannot be volume when it has not been provided, it has not been, what's it called now? It has not been activated. In liquidity, when I was teaching liquidity, there could be 20,000 sell orders of AUD. That is liquidity. There might not be buying order yet. It doesn't matter. But the point is that there is liquidity on the sell side. You get what I'm saying? But for volume, volume is a completed transaction. AUD have been exchanged to USD. USD have been exchanged for AUD. Then we can now consider it a volume. So let's say there are 20,000 sell orders from AUD. Same example. Let's say there are 20,000 sell orders for let's say there are 20,000 sell orders for AUD now. I don't know why monitor is doing this. Okay, let's use this. And that's okay. Good. Now 20,000 sell orders for AUD. And this one will be buy orders. Now, both of them must be paired together. The moment 20,000 sell orders matches 20,000 buy orders, it becomes what? It becomes volume. It becomes volume. Now, there are intricacies to understanding volume properly, and I'm going to explain them. Okay. Now that these orders have been matched, we can see them as volume. Okay. But the issue now is that all we just know is that at the end of the day, all we will see is that since 20,000 sell orders have been matched with 20,000 buy orders, 20 plus 20, that's 40 years. So in the volume section, what we'll be seeing is 40,000 volume. Now, we cannot know which amount of this 20,000, which amount of this 40,000 goes to buyer, because the truth is that it could not be 20,000. It could not be balanced. Sometimes it will be 15,000 transaction here that's matched with 5,000 here. Sometimes it will be one here that matched with 20,000 here. So that will be 10 here that matched with 50,000 here. So that will be 20 here that matched with 1 million here. We don't know those things. We can't know because the market doesn't. We don't have access to knowing all these things. We don't have access to the other book. The only thing we know is that in this whole transaction between AUD and USD, 40,000 orders have been what's it called now? Have been activated. Which one is for buyers? We can't tell. Which one is for sellers? We can't tell. If we can tell, everyone will be making money in this market. Anybody who tells you they can't tell, then, well, I don't know. But it's not possible, practically impossible. So all the market will be showing to us now is 40,000 volume that has happened in this market. Now, what we do with this 40,000 volume is now what matters. Okay? Now, when orders comes into this market in form of liquidity that are not activated yet, they would be at a certain region, at a certain price. Now, once these orders get activated, let's say, for example, there are 20,000 sell orders here, 20,000 sell orders, and then there are just 5,000 buy orders on USD. There are 20,000 buy orders here, and then there are just 5,000 sell orders on USD to match AUD. You know what I'm saying? To match AUD. So what will happen there is that 5 plus, now there are 20,000 at that price. Now it's not been matched yet. Okay, so there are 20,000. I'm talking about liquidity now. So 20,000 buy orders are in this market as limit order, liquidity, not yet activated. Okay, and then there are 5,000 at that same price, both of them at that same price. Now, eventually, both of them get activated, and now it has become volume. But it's only 5,000 sellers that, matched these 20,000 buys. So what will happen at that point? You see these 5,000 orders that match this 20,000, even though there are 20,000, what the market will be showing you is just 5,000 sell that match this 5,000 buy. It becomes what? 10,000. So what the volume will be showing you is 10,000. The remaining orders here that are not activated yet would still be as liquidity. They will just be there pending until when price comes back to them or not. So liquidity is like what moves the market. Volume is like the fuel. You get what I'm saying? So you have your car. Liquidity is, without your car, you can't even buy, you don't even need fuel in the first place. You get what I'm saying? So without liquidity, we don't even know what is volume. But the moment you have a car, then you can now buy fuel so that the car can move. So the moment there is liquidity, 20,000, then we can now look for 20,000 sellers so that both of them can pair together and then price can move. These things I'm showing you are what moves price, liquidity plus volume. Now, why would price go up? Because there are now in this scenario, why would price go up and why would price come down? Why would AUD go down? Why would it go up? Let's say there are 20,000 buys also, and then there are only 5,000 sell. Remember the concept of inflow and outflow. So there are 20,000 people who are willing to buy AUD, but there are 5,000 people who are willing to sell AUD for USD. I'm sorry, they are to sell USD so that they can get AUD. Now, this is where the concept of other pairs now come into play. So 20,000 buy orders for AUD must be, because it's at that $5. So what happened is, these 5,000 sell orders that are just on, remove your eyes from this 20,000 that is here. Follow my voice. Listen to what I'm saying. So I'm using an analogy now that there are 20,000 buy orders of AUD. People wants to buy AUD. Okay? And 20,000 sell, and then there is 5,000 sell orders. Let me even change it to 5,000 so that you people are not going to be confusing yourself. And then there are 5,000 sell orders on USD. So it's not balanced. It's not balanced. Abi? It must be balanced. It's not balanced. And this is the thing about the market. The market will never be balanced. If it's balanced, it will not move. 20,000 buyers, 20,000 sellers. You just see that buyer will go up, seller will come down. Okay, but we did not going up, coming down, going up, coming down. You know what I'm saying? So we'll paint all those scenarios probably in tomorrow's class, because I think time is fast spent right now. So in tomorrow's class, I'll definitely go ahead and speak a lot about volume also. Wherever we're going to stop today, we're going to stop. Like I said, I don't want these classes to be too long, and at the end of the days now starts to get boring. You understand? Now 20,000 buy orders on AUD, 5,000 sell orders in USD. So people are willing to sell. So 20,000 people want to buy AUD rather. But on USD, there are only 5,000 sell. So how many inflow is coming into AUD? 20,000. How many outflow is willing to leave USD? 5,000. So if there is much inflow into AUD and lesser outflow from USD into AUD, what do you think will happen? The remaining 50,000 will be spread across other currencies like EUR, CGP, whatever. And then they will now come into AUD. And then AUD will go up. Now there is outflow on USD. And this outflow is going into where? AUD. And what happens? AUD starts going up. It starts becoming bullish. Why? USD starts selling. Okay? Now, in situation whereby the orders are much, it's more than, let's say, the volume. Let's say, for example, 20,000 buy, but then we have 50,000. So what will happen is that, you see, it's still imbalanced. 20,000 will be removed from here, outflow into AUD. It could be 20,000, it could not be 20,000. We don't know. Can't know that one. But let's imagine that 20,000 sell orders will match these buy orders. And what will happen now is that there will still be orders, sell orders on AUD. Okay. Now this one had been efficient. It's efficient already, ready to deliver upward. The point is that if the majority of the volume is buying, expect bullish. If the majority of the volume is selling, expect bearishness. So there are 50,000 sell orders on AUD right now. Now, when we speak about volume, we speak about a transaction, but our focus is on the base currency. But it is the base currency that makes the transaction. That's where bidding and asking comes into play. If the base currency is what initiates transactions, not the quote currency. You get what I'm saying? If the pair had been USD AUD, let's say USD AUD now, USD is now the base currency, and there is 50,000 sell orders on USD. All this it must be so. The moment, and then the 50,000 sell orders on USD, and then there is 20,000 buy orders on AUD to match, the whole thing, and it's not enough to match. What do you think would happen? It become absorbed. This is where absorption comes into play. Once, in fact, let me explain absorption and exhaustion to you guys. Once the buy orders on AUD is lesser than the sell orders on USD multitude of orders will absorb AUD. It will absorb AUD smaller orders. You know what I'm saying? And once it absorbs the orders, what will happen? AUD would start gearing towards what's it called now? This is where you see that it will go up and then at the end of the day starts falling. This is where you see price would form something like this, start going up first, then start selling. We will know how to identify all these things on the chart. Okay? That is where you see price goes up first because these orders have been matched. Now, what of the remaining 30,000 cells? The remaining 30,000 cells, it needs to be made, it needs to be activated too. So that's where the sellers now start. So first it activates the buy, and then the sell starts coming into play. And it's the same thing for what we call now other, for other pairs. Okay. For the sake of clear understanding, I'm going to take that again. For volume to be activated, for us to know volume, must be transaction. Both of them must be matched. If they are not matched, it is still liquidity. The moment they are matched, that is volume. Now, if there are more buyers, if there are lesser buyers and more sellers, volume will not tell you that. What volume will shall tell you is that in this transaction, there was 40,000 orders. So what you need to pay attention is high volume or low volume. So once the volume is high, and how do you know how can you what's it called now? How can you tell a high or low volume? This is where you need to compare the current volume with the whole average asset market you are observing. All those ones will teach it. I will teach us once we get to that stage. How do you know, oh, this volume is high, this volume is low? Because to AUD 20,000 might be high, but to USD 20,000 might be low. So we need to understand all these things. We'll explain all these things. I will explain everything to you guys, okay? But for now, the point is that our focus as traders is that we should know where this volume, when it is high or when it's low. When the volume is high, that is when we want to come into the market. When it's low, we try to just be on the other side. This price will not create volatility. Okay, so I'm just gonna stop here today because I'm really exhausted. Tomorrow I'll still continue on this volume, and the combination of liquidity, this liquidity plus volume, is what now gives you volatility, which I'll be explaining to you. So I'm kind of I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm kind of exhausted right now. Maybe it's because I've not taken my morning coffee. Anyway, that's all for tonight, guys. Tomorrow we'll meet again and pick up from where we left again. Good, yeah, enjoy the rest of it.